Hello, chat. Hello. How we doing today? I see Skitty, Duality, Celeste, Crenshaw, Lunar, Sino, Willow. Hello, everybody. How we all doing? Hi, Arch. Hope we're all doing lovely tonight. I'm having a quite good night as well. I finished watching Point Crow's Outer Wilds playthrough, and then I cried at the end, so having a great time. It's like a good cry, you know what I mean? But we're here now. We're gonna read some Alt-Universe. I got the summary ready. Oh, I've been trying to write all day and I've only got 1k words down. Hey, 1k is better than nothing. 1k is better than nothing. I've been looking at Umineko memes. Oh, it's this chapter? Yep, it's this chapter. One of my faves. I like this chapter a lot. I just got on ACNH. I think that's, what, Animal Crossing New Horizons? Which, to those who have read Suffer Docs and like Kankri and that, read Umineko. To be fair, I don't like Kankri anywhere, but except YWP. Actually, I haven't caught up with Suffer Docs. I think the last time I read it was like maybe like 4 or 5 days ago. So I'm a bit behind. I have a lot. I need to catch up on it. So maybe I'm out of date. Hi, Ellipti, you are not late at all. We haven't even gotten to the summary yet, so you're fine. Like him as a character, not as a person? Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, okay. I getcha. You know, I think... Oh, I confuse... I definitely confused Umineko with Yume Nikki in my head when I was thinking about it. Because I was confused for a second, but now I'm remembering that they are very different things. I haven't played Yume Nikki either. No, I've heard it's quite good. Oh my goodness. I got a lot of drawing stuff done today too. Not a ton. I finished my Solux charms. Sort of. I don't know if I'm crazy satisfied with the with how they turned out, but I'm pretty happy with them. I'm happy enough that I can kind of move on to the next one. So that's my trio down. I finished Dave, Solux, and Carcat, and then I'm gonna do a DSK one, and then I'm gonna do some other individual ones. So very fun. I'm excited. Yeah, this chapter, it is a fun one. Honeybee. I think if that's everything, we can get started with the summary. Again, we're only doing a short summary since we streamed yesterday. And really, the last place that we kind of left off was, they went back to the dorm and saw that everything was, like, mysteriously fixed, and had been replaced. Abraxas is like, yeah, those weird guys in the suits did it. And Rose and Carcat are like, huh, the weird guy in the suits. Interesting. Kanaya sends a message to Carcat, and they all go and meet up at, like, a noodle place. And Porum, like, apologizes, Porum is Kanaya's mother, apologizes to Carcat for how she kind of acted. And Porum also meets, like, Rose and the rest of the gang. And they all hang out for a bit. And then Carcat, it kind of ends with Carcat, like, pleading with Kanaya. Like, please let me work at the library again. And she promises to talk to Miss Paint about it and help him out. To let him back in. This reminds me, I never finished watching the VOD yesterday. Whoops. You should be fine. Oh, you've already read the chapters, so you'll be fine, yeah. I zoned out for a second, you're going through the recap, so bye-bye, Christian. No worries. Have a nice rest of your night. I also did, I had a backlog of VODs that I had to upload to the channel, so I did that earlier today, because I forgot to upload them before the weekend. So it was like chapters 24, 25, and 26, I think. So those are all up now, on the VOD channel. Alright, we're just gonna hop right in, to it. So let me just make sure we have some sort of music. It's quite quiet right now. Let me skip this song. Okay, we'll do that. Alright, this is 15k words, which is about the same length as yesterday, so probably about an hour and 45-minute stream, if I'm getting good with my estimates. We'll see. Oops. Alright, we're gonna get started. So this is chapter 27, Honeybee. We'll take a little sip of water. Alright, here we go. You've never had a family, and until you came to Salem, you've never had friends either. Not that you have real memories of, anyway. So it's a surprise when Roxy Lalonde insists that you stay with them over the holiday break, or what remains of it. You don't know if this is an out of her being genuinely kind, or worry that something terrible might happen to you again if you're out of sight, but nonetheless, you stay. Rose has a double bed, and you end up sleeping there because sharing with Dave or Solux is inadvisable. It's not like you don't get distracted making out with them over the break, but you're not going to go so far as to sleep with them in their mom's house, so it's best that you stay with Rose. One morning you wake up to white light shining through Rose's room, only to realize that overnight it snowed, and the light is tinted from the snow on the windows and blanketing the world outside. June comes over right away, and under the suspicious eye of Roxy Lalonde, you all have a snowball fight. On the plus side, June declares it girls versus boys, which means that Rose and June work together, hopefully reminding Rose of why they're friends and lowering her suspicion. Unfortunately, June is some kind of beast at snowball fights, and her aim is always true, with the wind never blowing any of her snowballs off course. The fight turns a little when you, Dave, and Solux retreat. Dave makes a huge stack of snowballs and has you hold them in your arms. You unfurl your wings and fly into the sky to attack Rose and June from above. That goes well for a while, until June somehow nails you in the face with a snowball 15 feet up in the air, making you crash into a pine tree. When the cold gets too much, you go inside for hot cocoa and marshmallows on sticks over their gas fire, which certainly isn't what the thing was intended for. June has to leave a bit after, when it becomes clear that Roxy is becoming increasingly agitated with her presence. On New Year's, you get to see exactly how much explosive mayhem the most powerful witch of her generation can cause, which turns out to be a lot. You think you still have after images when you blink thanks to her magical fireworks. Dave takes pictures of them with glee, and you can't help but wonder if people outside the bubble of the lawn property can see these. You'd assume not, and it makes you feel that much more special that you get to see them. It's not all great, though. Despite being back for your little snowball fight and harassing you when you least expect it, Solux is gone for a lot of the break. When he is back, he's either asleep or obviously very occupied with something. Despite all that, he won't tell you what's wrong, or at least not more than he already has. You doubt that he's going to open up about it if you pester him about it endlessly, and he already knows that you're willing to listen, so you just try to be there for him. And if being there for him means having stupid arguments that turn into kissing and suspicious hickeys on your neck, then, well, that's a burden you're willing to carry. Like all things, your break has to end, and Jun's dad very kindly gives all of you, minus Solux, a ride back to the port. Your first night back in your dorm is actually a little weird, because you're sleeping on your own for the first time in a while. Your schedule had got all changed up as well. You're guessing from Equius being murdered. Your school email informs you that Darklear has taken an understandable leave of absence. The downside of this for you is that your class with Mindfang has been moved to an early morning slot, leaving you and Rose sitting in barely caffeinated silence on your sofa as you both wait for the coffee to hit you. 8 a.m. is too early for Mindfang, Rose groans as the pair of you leave your dorm at 7:30 with the aim of at least grabbing breakfast to go before hitting your class. Additional thought, any time is too early for Mindfang, you tell her, and Rose nods in sleepy agreement. Whether it's too early for her or not, you still have to see Mindfang. You're sat between Rose and Dave in the classroom portion of Mindfang's building. On Dave's other side, Solix is rapidly typing away on his phone under his desk. You guess that that's the convenient thing about having two sets of eyes. Solix's head is only slightly tilted, and his upper set is open as well. He could easily claim to be watching and paying attention. A key magical sense that you all have to develop is the sense of when you are being watched. I have here on my desk a stack of charms that I want you to wear for the next week, and will become warm when someone is observing you without you observing them. This will train you to become more aware of this without these charms, Mindfang explains, gesturing to the box at her desk. That's easy, Solix says under his breath. Of course, to test your progress, I will be assessing your skills beforehand and after, Mindfang continues. Oh no, Solix says, his head jerking up. We will be testing your awareness in multiple ways of observing you, and noticing them all will require some very robust defenses. Firstly, a sense of self. She begins and turns to the board. We are more than just our physical bodies that we occupy now. In order to remain properly vigilant, we must protect all areas of ourselves. Firstly, is obvious, is someone looking at your physical body without you knowing. Most humans have a sense of this from just evolutionary basis. Second is a sense that your person is being observed or scrutinized, that sense that people are talking about you in detail. Thirdly, a sympathetic sense, when someone is using parts of your physical body to channel an observation spell. Some species, of course, have their true names give a sense of awareness of them, but I'm sure we won't need to test that. Mindfang shoots a look at Solix, who literally bristles, his hair shifting like a defensive cat, or a character in a Ghibli movie. Of course, that true name thing would most likely work for you too, but Mindfang doesn't know that. So, how do we resist these attempts or become aware of them? The key is self-awareness, the ability to define who you are and who you are not, so you can detect the other's intrusion onto you. Some people find the core of their being and work it out. Others view themselves as a feeling, a personality, or a symbol. Mindfang continues. Curiously, you raise your hand, and she looks at you expectantly. A symbol, like a tarot card? You ask curiously. That could work if you've attached a meaning to it. In fact, if you have a solid sense of someone else's sense of self represented like that, then let me say that again. That could work if you've attached a meaning to it. In fact, if you have a solid sense of someone else's sense of self represented like that, you can tell if that person is observing you. That is, if you're able to become especially advanced. Mindfang nods. You make notes as Mindfang continues to elaborate on how you center your entire being, how to extend your senses out, and so on. She eventually decides that she's done, and you think it's more that she got bored of what she's saying and instead wants to move on to the practical part, rather than the lecture being actually over. The setup that Mindfang has is a series of person-sized mirrored boxes, the doors of which have silencing spells on them. They're one-way mirrors, however, appearing to be clear glass from the outside, and then surrounded again with a giant curtain. Each student is invited to move into the box. Then the box is sealed. In the middle of the floor is a button. When the student senses that someone is watching them, they press the button. On the outside of the box, a volunteer grad student will be recording the moment that they are observing the student through various methods with the press of their own button. Then the two button presses will be compared, and the student will be scored on accuracy. You and Rose are among the first students tested. There are several boxes, so you're all able to go through at reasonable speed. The grad student behind your curtain is a tired-looking guy with a bandaged cheek. Oh, are you okay? You ask, pointing to his cheek. Research fieldwork. Sometimes the fieldwork gets you back. You're not claustrophobic, right? The guy asks. Not really, you say. You're not a fan of being locked up for obvious reasons, but this is a literal glass box in a classroom. It's not the same as where Cancri or Cronus put you. You're pretty sure you'll be fine. The grad student gestures inside and leans around the open door as you settle down on the floor and sit cross-legged before the button. So I'll give you a minute, and then the button will buzz and we'll start. Use your time to do whatever, center yourself, or however you want to work, he suggests. You nod, and the guy shuts the door. The sudden silence might unnerve you if it wasn't for the fact that your dorm does the exact same thing. Seeing yourself reflected in every direction is really weird, and you waste a few seconds moving this way and that and watching the endless lines of reflected versions of yourself move. It's like when you go to a public bathroom in movie theaters and the things where they have the long mirrors above the sinks on both sides, and it's an endless reflection. Wait, you're supposed to be preparing for your test. Shit. You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and gently rest your fingers on the button. You call to mind your true form. Your body tingles slightly in what you can only guess is your anatomy's equivalent of the Microsoft paperclip asking, "Hey, it looks like you wanted to change form. Can I help you with that?" No, you can't. You don't want to out yourself and drive the poor grad student out of his mind. You also call your tarot card to mind, the Knight of Cups. For extra measure, you remember how your name sounds when your friends call you. You recall the way Kangri used to say your name, too. A buzz fills the otherwise silent room, and at first you feel nothing. But then, that feeling on the back of your neck starts, like all the hairs starting to stand on end. You press the button. You feel seen, and weirdly itchy when it happens, now that you're paying attention to it. Sometimes, though, you're not sure if you've sensed anything, or if you're just hitting the button for no reason. After a few minutes, maybe 5 at most, you're let out. "How did I do?" you ask curiously. "I don't do the results. There's some other people doing that, but you seem pretty good," your guy tells you, and you leave the curtained area with an air of hope around you. You join up with Rose, who is waiting off to the side. Jade takes your place in your booth with an eager spring in her step. "That was fun," Rose smiles. "You're a seer. It's pretty much exactly your thing," you point out. Wait, no one is supposed to know that Rose can see again. I mean, former seer, since you can't see, because no seers can, since the event, you add hurriedly. Rose raises an eyebrow and leans forward to you. "Carcat, that was way more suspicious," Rose whispers. "Sorry, but won't you get an amazing score won't you getting an amazing score out you to everyone?" you whisper. "Please, I deliberately threw 10 of their points. That way, at the end, I can calculate exactly what my real accuracy was, and I can play off my awareness as a feature of my seer past," Rose explains with a casual little wave of her hand. "That's actually really smart," you say in surprise. "I have my moments," Rose smiles slyly. You look around the room. A lot of the students look nervous, which is to be expected before a test. A couple look quite anxious, and you'd guess that they're claustrophobic. To your surprise, the worst student looks to be Dave, who seems to be within a hair of throwing up on his shoes out of nerves. Solix looks a little more composed, but his tails are flicking about in a way that you've come to interpret as stressed. Solix steps into a booth before Dave, and you sit there waiting for him to come out. In the meantime, June and Jade both emerge within a few seconds of each other and head over to you and Rose to talk about the test. Oh, excuse me. I inhaled my own spit weirdly. Hold on. I could really feel some of them, but not others. There were massive pauses in parts. Maybe I'm just too used to being observed. Jade mutters that last part. "You mean not used to being observed, right? You grew up on a deserted island, didn't you?" June says with a frown. You suppose that tells you that Jade hasn't revealed the details of what Jake was up to yet. You have to assume that you're still the only person who knows it at all. "How do you think you did?" you ask June, changing the subject. "I don't know, but I'm excited to see," June says brightly. You watch as Solix exits the curtained area a few minutes later. He still looks unhappy, and when Dave passes him to go inside, you can't help but notice the way that Solix's tails quickly wind around his leg and then let go as he passes. Solix doesn't come over to your group. Instead, he waits on the edge of the curtain for Dave to get out. "Is Dave claustrophobic?" you ask. "No, I've seen him in way too many tiny forts for that to be it, not to mention how many times he'd hide in tiny places to try and win hide-and-seek at June's house," Rose says with a shake of her head. "Aw, the idea of June and Dave playing hide-and-seek as little kids is so cute," Jade gasps in delight. "They were 14, but sure," Rose snorts in barely repressed laughter. He seems pretty uneasy with the whole test, though, you point out. Although you absolutely will bring up the hide-and-seek thing with Dave later because that is gold. It's no use trying to tease June with it, though. She has a chronic lack of shame. Not that you're jealous of her self-assured manner or anything. When Dave steps out, he seems incredibly shaken, and only then does Solix return to your group, guiding Dave there the whole way. "Are you cool?" you ask him softly. "Yeah, I'm cool. It was just unsettling is all. I'm usually the coolest dude in the room, and suddenly there's infinity of people as cool as me. Unsettled the whole balance of the universe," Dave says, his tone flat, but he's clearly having trouble getting all of his words out. Solix is sat next to Dave with his arms wrapped around his middle and his chin resting on his shoulders. He couldn't be much closer without actually climbing into Dave's lap. As the last of your class go through their tests, Mindfang scuttles about handing out little charms on plain leather bracelets. You presume they're personalized, as they all have tags on them, and she appears to be giving them out to your class in alphabetical order. Rose is helping you tie yours on when you notice the grad student hurrying over to Mindfang and pulling her into what looks like an urgent conversation. You watch as they gesture to their notes and then look over at your group. Mindfang follows their gaze and then returns to conversation with the grad students. A couple of them shake their heads and insistently show her some paper. Mindfang stares at it for a while, leafing through a few sheets. She turns and walks towards your group on her unsettling spider legs. "How did you do it?" she asks, looking down at Dave and Solux especially. "Sorry?" Dave says nervously. "You and him both got perfect scores. No one gets perfect scores. She's supposed to be the seer, right? She got an 80 out of 100, which should have been top of the class, but you two both got 100 without even any false reports. How? How did you do it?" Mindfang demands. "So Rose really got a 90 out of 100, but somehow Dave and Solux both got full marks? How is that possible?" "I don't know. I just don't like being watched," Dave mumbles. Dave doesn't seem to have a better explanation, and Solix doesn't say or do anything no matter how hard Mindfang stares at both of them. Seemingly deciding that she's not getting an answer, she scuttles back off to her grad students. You got a good score, a 74. Jade was less good at a 45, and Jude got a solid 50. The interesting part comes in when you find out where you scored. You did all right on people physically watching you, pretty bad on the parts that relied on parts of your body being used to watch you, and then better again with the more abstract magical ways of watching you. You're probably going to guess that Mindfang used the blood she took from you before to make the physical parts of the test, and you wonder if your true form, probably not having blood, makes it a weaker connection. Jade's results are almost completely inverse of yours. Her worst part is noticing people just looking at her. A sad thought rises in your mind that she's probably too used to it to notice. Mindfang wraps her class up a little while after that with instructions for how to practice raising your awareness between now and next class. Dave and Solux bail right away, which doesn't surprise you with how clearly they dislike that test. "Maybe we could test each other or something," Jade suggests as the remaining four of you leave. "You mean secretly sneak up on each other and spy on one another?" June asks, holding the door open. "It sounds unsettling when you say it like that." Rose laughs and steps through it. Outside of the building, there's a cluster of your classmates lingering around, looking at something with a lot of concerned-sounding chatter going on. "We should call someone," one girl says. "I mean, it looks fine, despite, a guy shrugs. Jade and June are ahead of you both and spot what the group is looking at before you do. "Beck, you were supposed to stay in the dorm," Jade exclaims. You hear a bark, get a flash of green, and then Beck is on the other side of the group, standing before Jade, with his tail wagging delightedly. Still, it seems that Jade can't stay mad at her misbehaving hellhound, and is petting him almost immediately. "Is your dog blind?" one of the other students asks warily. "Well, he has no eyes," Jade concedes. "Better than having no nose," June says with a grin. "But then how would he smell?" Jade asks, but her own matching toothy grin tells you that she knows just where this is leading. "Terrible," June says loudly, and the pair crack up. It seems that the crowd of students, though curious about Beck, are not willing to sit around and listen to jokes that bad to know more about him, a feeling you can relate to all too well. "Well, hearing that made me need to lie down and have a nap. I'll see you later," Rose sighs. "Oh man, I didn't want a nap until you said, but I've got 2 hours until my next class, and now I really want a nap," you say, filled with sudden envy. "Come on then, it's a free dorm," Rose laughs. Want to come for a walk with me and Beck? I think he might be wanting company, Jade asks June as Beck delicately bites the end of June's sleeve and tries to pull her towards the path. You think? Yeah, sure, let's go. June laughs. Nap in your warm dorm or cold early January hellhound walks outside? Such a hard decision. Not. You and Rose hurry back to your dorm, and Rose makes chamomile tea. The pair of you bury yourselves under knitted blankets on the sofa, blowing on your tea and sipping it when you can. You don't mean to drift off on the sofa, but it's just so comfy, so surely you'll be fine if you just rest your eyes for a moment. You sip your tea and wait. You don't have to wait all that long, though. Rose always knows when to be somewhere. Sure enough, she shows up, sauntering up the dirt path with her black boots kicking up little puffs of dust as she walks. It's been a dry year. You've heard a lot of prayers for rain go by, but unfortunately that kind of thing isn't your department. Although you may have been subtly nudging the people who can make those kind of changes, though you doubt it'll do much good. Hey, you call out to her. Did you stop at the gas station to get a drink on your way here? Rose asks you skeptically. I wanted a drink. What's so unusual about that? You say defensively and take another sip. You didn't drive here, for one. Did you land, walk there, get a drink, and take off again? Rose asks. That's exactly what I did. Look, heaven is boring for indulgences, so sue me. You tell her. What did you get? Orange Crush? She asks with an evil grin. Oh, yeah, I do love setting my mouth on fire. You snort and stick your tongue out at her. Well, in any case, we have a bit of a walk ahead of us. It's on the trail for a while, then off the beaten path, Rose tells you. She takes her black sun hat off and combs through her purple-tipped hair. The purple is so nice. When did you get that? You ask eagerly and hop onto your feet. Thank you. I did it a few weeks ago. I felt like a change. Rose smiles and tucks her hair behind her ear. It looks good. Now, I don't know why you wanted me to come on this hike with you, but lead on, I guess, you say, gesturing to the trail ahead. I have my reasons, Rose says mysteriously. You follow her along the trail, sipping at your cool soda as you do. The bird song is nice. The smell of wilderness is nice. That evergreen smell with wild forest flowers perfuming the air. The earth has its flaws, for sure. Plenty of things that you'd like to take back to the drawing board of the Almighty for review. But by the large, you've always enjoyed the nature, or the natural beauty of the place. Still, you don't know why exactly you're here. Not that I don't enjoy your company. It's very nice that you'd ask me to come on your hike as a favor to you. I especially appreciate the favor of your sight that you promised me in return, you start to say. Oh, please. We both know that you're going to use that favor to track down the same two people you always ask for. I wonder how many times you're going to get stabbed before you get half a sentence out. Rose laughs. Is next time going to be the time that happens? You ask hopefully. Very unlikely, Rose answers. Great. What about the next time after that? You ask. Don't you think that spoils the fun? She asks, and ducks under a branch. You say fun. I get stabbed in the throat with several ugly swords. You complain and follow her. All a matter of perspective, Rose shrugs. Will you at least tell me why I'm here? You ask again. I have a box to bury, she says, and pats her bag of holding. No, that's why you're here. Why am I here? You ask again. Your blood. You're about bonding. This memory needs an anchor. If we're both here, we both remember this, and it's easier to access, she explains. This is one of those times where I understood every individual word that you said, and yet I have no idea what you're talking about, you say with a groan. Rose can be like that. Her prophecies are cryptic to an absurd degree at times. That said, she is an absurdly strong seer, and were she not so otherwise affiliated, you're sure that your side would have tried to snap her up. You and Rose come to a stone bridge that's fallen down over a small stream, and feels an awful lot like bad magic. You unfurl your wings and offer a hand to Rose. She takes hold of it, and you fly the pair of you well over what was definitely some creature's magical trap. You don't exactly begrudge that creature trying to catch food. Everything has to eat, but you'd sooner it didn't try to go for you and Rose. Alright, so how about you tell me what's in the box? You ask. It's... Rose trails off and comes to a stop. You watch bewildered as she looks down at herself, almost like she can't recognize her body. Rose, what's in the box? You ask again. Sure, she's supposed to answer something that'll be sly and unhelpful, like she so often is with her answers. I don't know. Where are we? Rose looks around. She stares at you, and then, all at once, vanishes. Rose jolts awake next to you, startling you awake as well. For a moment, you don't know where you are or what's going on at all, but then the details of the dream sink back into your mind again. Was that? Rose gasps and looks at you. Did we have the same dream again? You ask. Walking in the woods, you drinking something from a gas station, and me carrying a box in my bag? Rose checks. You nod. So was that a vision or a memory? You ask slowly. You watch the indentation of the sofa seam on Rose's cheek shift as she grimaces a little. It wouldn't be a memory. It has to be in the future, Rose says. I don't think so. We were talking about me trading favors for your seer ability so I could find two people, one of which stabbed me. That's Solux. That's how he and I met, you point out. There's no way it's a memory. It must be someone else. You didn't say Solux, so it can't be him. Besides, I only just got the ability to see it all back, and if we're talking before then, when I could see, I would be under 13. Even if we're assuming that I just look the age I do now, I know I wasn't wandering the woods of wherever with angels before the event. I also would have remembered that. You're the one who doesn't remember anything before then, not me, Rose points out. You hesitate. That does make sense, but it still doesn't feel quite right to you. So, what was in the box? You ask. I have no idea, but it does seem like being near you helps my visions, at least when they're visions of you, Rose says thoughtfully. Yay, I'm helping, you say, probably with the required amount of enthusiasm. You shift uncomfortably because you just shoved your phone in your pocket and not back in its charm, and sleeping on it at a weird angle has made it dig into your leg. After fishing the damn thing out and rubbing the dead spot on your leg, you look at the screen and feel your blood freeze. You have 3 minutes until your alchemy class. You know, the one on the other side of campus. Fuck, late! You yelp and struggle to your feet. No way you can run there in time, but maybe you don't have to run. You snatch your bag up from the ground and sprint out of your dorm, but instead of running down the stairs, you sprint up them to the roof. As you burst through the door, like a shitty Kool-Aid man, you clutch your bag to your chest and look around. Thankfully, the roof is otherwise unoccupied, so you focus very hard to vanish from view, and then take to the sky in a powerful beat of your wings. It's hard to calculate your speed when you're flying. You're not that great at it yet. You want less speed than you came back from the moon with, but more than your casual fly around with Solux has been. Aside from a few setbacks, you get there in good time and hurry into your class quickly, scurrying into your seat. Was that big bang you hitting the building? Solux says with a sharp grin. I don't know what you mean, you lie and casually look into your bag for your stuff instead of at him in hopes that maybe it will stop him noticing your deception. You have a brick imprint on your face, like mortar and everything, June says, indicating her cheek. That actually looks really painful. Are you alright? Dave asks, touching her cheek. It may be a little sore from you not breaking in time and maybe smacking into the wall of the building. I'm fine. I got here in time, you mutter. Did you oversleep? June snickers. Yes. Shut up, you hiss at her. What about you? How are you doing? Your question is directed at Dave, but you glance at Solux too. Dave was clearly most thrown by that test, but Solux looked rattled as well. I'm fine, man. It was just spooky is all. I'm not digging this bracelet, though. Although, fun fact, it seems to only ping when it's people you're not aware of observing you, so just being in a room where people can see you doesn't set it off. It also doesn't go off with the three of you looking at me because I know you're doing that. It's really cool. Well, it's not cool, it's creepy, and I hate it, but it's a well-made thing I had for a thing, and I don't want to do, I guess. Dave rambles. You think this is more of a nervous ramble than the one where he's excitedly talking about something, or where his mind is just wandering and his mouth is long for a ride. He's not fine, but he'd rather you didn't know that. I guess I was so focused about getting in the room on time that I didn't... You trail off as the charm on your wrist gets hot. You look up and see that your teacher is looking at you. His gaze sweeps around to a few other students in hoping of getting them to be quiet so the class can start without actually having to call for silence. It certainly works. On you. Your scatterbrained alchemy teacher seems unusually focused today, and also pretty eager. I hope everyone had a great holiday break. Now, who can name any states of matter? I'll just write them down, over here. Your teacher fumbles for a pen and turns to the whiteboard. Okay, reasonably focused for him. Your class starts listing off solids, liquid, gas. Some smartass even says something about non-Newtonian fluids. You've done all the basic high school science, so you know about this stuff. Your teacher writes these on the board and then turns to the rest of you. All matter goes through these states, or at least they can do. If we take this normal room that we're in now, and then the hydrogen, oxygen, so forth in the air are gases at this temperature, this water is liquid at room temperature, that its state is in this current environment. It has a certain amount of energy that informs its physical structure. It gets this energy from the warmth of the room, which comes from the sun, us being nearby, the heating here, and all that. He explains as he plunks a full beaker of water on the table. But I can turn water into gas. Watch, he goes on. He sets a black slate onto the desk, and on it is a flask of water with a deflated balloon stretching over the top. He touches the edge of the spell that you can't see, and the water within the flask rapidly starts to boil, and the steam begins to fill the balloon. It is a fundamental rule that energy is neither created nor destroyed, merely changed in form. I'm boiling this water, giving its molecules more energy, and changing its state from one to another, but I'm getting that energy from the spell's tether. In this case, it's geothermal energy. The multiplanar universe is a closed system. We can take or give energy beyond planes, and before we could be granted things by gods, but that energy all came from within the same system, he explains. You watch as he lets the spell go and plucks the balloon from the lip of the flask and holds it up, the steam whirling inside of it. This has more energy than the liquid water. Plasma has more energy than this gas state. Solids have less energy than liquids. Now, here. Your teacher bends down and pulls a block of ice out of what you can assume is a small chest freezer under his desk, judging by the sound of that type of door shutting. He sets the block of ice on the desk and then looks all at you again. Are you going to show us plasma too? One of the other students asks eagerly. Your teacher hunches his shoulders and looks a little bitter. Unfortunately, no. The faculty has explicitly said that I'm not allowed to do that after the incident a few years ago, but we have these three. Magic is a form of directing energy in a very specific way, and when your magic veers into the elemental realm, you need to be aware of and understand the physics behind this. Failing to account for changing the state of matter of any of your ingredients will throw off the power of your spell. It may not seem like a lot, in many cases it isn't, but when you're dealing with medicine or highly specialized machinery, any kind of healing magic, you need to know this stuff. If you're trying to warm someone up and you don't account for the behavior of fluid, then you might accidentally boil their blood in their veins or freeze it if you go the other way. Not to mention, this kind of knowledge can literally save your life, your teacher explains. He quickly knots the balloon and places it on the table, and then picks the beaker of liquid water in one hand, and in the other he holds a plain light bulb. We had a student once, a half-selkie. She could transform into a seal, but for her, it took a lot more energy. This was after the gods vanished. She was on a boat trip, and there was an explosion in the engine, and she was the only person to make it off of the boat. She had nothing to write on, and in her human form she would die of hypothermia within the hour. She managed to change the state of matter of a 10 square feet of water into ice, giving her something to sit on and using the energy to fuel her own change into her seal form, he explains. The water in the beaker starts to freeze at once, expanding upwards to just fill the top of the beaker. In the other hand, the light bulb glows. He just froze water to power a light bulb. That girl used it to power her transformation. Slowly, you look around at Solux. Hell is frozen. You'd figured that maybe the literal devil being out of action like the other gods would be the reason. But what if the heat in hell had been used as a part of a power source? Solux seems to sense that you're looking at him. Of course he does. He aced that test on knowing when people are watching him, after all. You mouth, like hell, at him and subtly point downwards. Solux stares at you, his face perfectly blank, and then returns his attention to teacher. That wasn't a no, but nor was it a yes. That seemed very much like a non-answer as you could get. Wouldn't that mean that he's not allowed to tell you? Who would do that, though? Who would make hell uninhabitable for the sake of a spell? Well, presumably someone who either didn't like or didn't care about hell. Solux clearly didn't have a good time there, but he also does put a lot of time into trying to keep things running when it comes to demons, so it could be him, but just seems like but But this just seems like he's making a lot more work for himself for no reason. Plus, he lost you in this spell, and is clearly frustrated by a lot of the limitations it's put on him. You really don't think Solux did this? No way was it your side who sacrificed Hell for this, because they lost as well. Not to mention, it's the kind of drastic action that you don't seem as characteristic of heaven or angels. Besides, demons wandering around among other humans, and all gods being gone, seems like a loss in their column. So, who benefited? Slyly, you pull your phone out from under your desk and find yourself grateful that you can touch type. Rose, I need to talk to you. It's an emergency, and I had an idea. What? Are you okay? I can't look at what you're writing. I'm in class, and I had a thought about the state of matter. I'm not gonna tell you the typos. I'm just gonna say it as it is. States of matter. What? You glance down at your phone. Shit. Matter. I mean states of matter. Alright, what emergency about the states of matter could you possibly be having? Your god, the one that escaped the event. The storm god that we're looking for. Okay, what about him? Hell is frozen. Obviously Solux didn't do it. Devil wouldn't have. That contraction pained me. You think the storm god froze Hell. Why? Hell was hot, so it had a lot of energy. Take the energy away, it freezes. Another glance. Okay, you're better at touch typing on a laptop, but you think you got the message across. Holy shit, wait, no, that can't be right. The event must have required some other power source to start it, but I can see the heat of hell being another one that could fuel the continued imprisonment of the gods. But it could be a continual power source, much as I suspect the moon itself may be. After all, we've had more luck with visions, and like when the moon is at its weakest, which suggests its involvement. This is very interesting. I'm going to see if I can find out anything else about this. You put your phone away and pay attention to the rest of the lecture. Your teacher's on form today. After that, you and Dave start working on practical experiments to change the matter of state of water. It's a little tricky, but once you've kind of got the feel for it, it's not that hard. Solux is ignoring everything for his phone, letting poor June take the brunt of the work all on her own. If you keep doing that, you're going to get in trouble, eventually, you know. At least be subtle. You hiss at him. Excuse me. Oof. You hiss at him after it's gone on long enough to really annoy you. No, I won't, Solux says. You won't get in trouble, or you won't be subtle, you ask. Yes, Solux says without looking up from his phone. I don't know why I keep walking into that. You groan. I was thinking the same thing. Okay, check it, Dave says. You turn your head just in time to see him switch out the beaker of water for a half-empty bottle of Coke and freeze it before you can stop him. Look, Dave says cheerfully, pointing to his frozen Coke. So now where do you start? No, I want to see where he's going with this, June interrupts you. Dave looks at his bottle of iced Coke for a few seconds in silence. I didn't really think about what I was going to do afterwards, Dave admits. That would be the subtitle if your movie was a life, you say flatly. Oh, I could turn it into a gas. Coke vape, Dave gasps. What? No, you're banned, you hiss and smack his dumb hands away from the experiment. From what? Dave asks, elbowing you back. From everything, from life. Solux, you're his Moirail, aren't you meant to talk him out of stupid shit? Tell Dave not to make a Coke vape, you demand, knowing that you're really reaching rock bottom when you're asking Solux to be the sensible one. Solux lowers his phone finally and looks at Dave. There's a second or two of silence. Remember when we did that Mentos and Coke thing? He asks. Yeah, Dave says. Remember when your mom was like, that shit's for pussies, have some potassium? Solux continues. Somehow you're pretty sure those were Roxy's exact words. Yeah. It exploded. There was a fire. It was really cool, Dave says slowly. It'll be much bigger than that. Those of us who are super hard to kill or don't stay dead for long will probably find it really funny. Everyone else, not so much. Solux shrugs and goes back to his phone. Very importantly, you can't help but note he doesn't tell Dave not to do it. That'd be a bomb, right? Dave says. In fairness, I think a lot of the stuff they teach you in chemistry and alchemy is how not to accidentally make a bomb. And Coke isn't the same as water. There's probably stuff in there you'd just be straight up subliminating into a gas, especially if you're not applying heat and boiling it like he said to, but actually just boop, you're gas now, June explains. You're probably right, Dave sighs, clearly very bummed about this. You need a distraction, but thankfully there's something that's been on your mind lately. You wait for June to go back to doing all the work, and Solix to go back to tapping away on his phone. Dave, what are you doing tomorrow night? You ask him. Dude, we're all in the same classes. You have all the same work I do, and you know full well that I should be doing the reading that night for Mindfang class, Dave says without inflection, just staring you down with his impenetrable sunglasses. I know what you should be doing, but what are you actually going to be doing? You ask him. Oh, well, probably playing Metal Gear Solid. Solix has been messing with the texture packs on the game with me, and we've broken the shit out of it. It's hilarious. He grins. I don't doubt that. Would you be... You start. Wait, shit, are you asking me on a date? Dave says a little too loudly. The charm on your wrist warms as the weight of other people watching you heats it. You don't need it to tell you, though. You can feel Solix and June watching you, even though they're pretending they're not. Yes, I did say I was going to do that. Unless you don't, Self-Dart starts eating you out. Or eating... Not eating you out. Eating at you. Sorry. Nope, you can't back out now. We are in this now. You and me, Carcat. What are we doing? Dave asks eagerly, shooting that doubt down. It's a surprise. If you're free tomorrow evening, we'll go. You say, oh, so you don't know. You just brought it up to stop me from making a bomb. And now you're just winging it. I see. Dave teases and pokes you in the shoulder. Because he never overthinks things, Solix mutters, but not so quietly that you don't hear. You flip him off, but otherwise ignore him. No, I actually have a bunch of plans that I could deploy at any moment. I'm like a highly sophisticated romance generator, you inform Dave matter-of-factly. You won't have your credentials doubted like this. Despite your total lack of experience in this area, that you can remember, you've spent way too long thinking about romance to not know what you want to do. You're like romance Batman, but instead of smoke pellets or whatever is in your utility belt, it's just date plans. Oh wait, fuck, not Batman, Catman, Dave gasps. There's a loud snort of laughter and then a choking sound. Looking around, you see June slumped over the table with her beaker of water knocked over and her shoulders shaking with laughter that shifts from silence to wheezing and back again. Solix is biting his lip to keep from laughing, and you hate him both for laughing at you and for looking kind of appealing like that. You hate him twice. Dave, you broke June, Solix says, trying to keep his voice level. Yeah, Dave mumbles, writing something on the slate that his frozen Coke is currently on. He touches it and turns it back to liquid again. Not that it looks great now. Catman! June gasps out, lifting her head from her arms. Are you picturing a mask with little kitty ears, too? Solix asks. I am now, June cackles. You both suck, you tell them. Dave pours some of his now liquid sort of Coke into bottle caps and sets the bottle aside and then edits the circle again. I've changed my mind, Dave says, not looking up. On the date? You ask and feel your heart sinking into your chest. No, that's still on. Obviously I changed my mind that a Carcat romance superhero wouldn't have smoke pellets, Dave says. Why? That's as far as you get. You feel the pull of magic catch, and then you're blasted with a shockwave of air. You can't see through the steam, and when you cough and splutter, everything feels or smells vaguely of Coke and burning sugar. Very deliberately, you stop breathing because there's no way this is good for your lungs, and instead you just focus on fanning away the fumes. After a few seconds, they clear, and you find that there's no Dave there at all, just the alchemy equipment, his abandoned drink bottle, and the empty cap for it. You expect Solix to be gone, but he's sitting there, looking equal parts surprised and delighted, even as June continues laughing at his side. I'm so proud of him, Solix whispers in awe. Right. Romance with Dave apparently involves weaponizing soda for the purposes of making a cool and stealthy escape. You're putting that mentally in quotes because it was in no way either of those, no matter how much he thinks it was. God, you have terrible taste in guys, don't you? Rose, why am I attracted to men? They're all terrible. It's perfectly normal to have flaws, Carcat. It's okay. But you don't have any flaws, huh? Absolutely not. Lesser mortals would be worried about hubris being their downfall if they were as perfect as I am, but luckily for me, I am not them. Dearest husband of mine, are you implying that I have flaws? By your own logic, wouldn't that make me one of your flaws? Perhaps. But you have a job, and I don't so as soon as the life insurance kicks in and you have a tragic accident on the staircase, and I can stand there and convincingly weep to the police and collect all your money. You're going to be very sad when you see my bank account then. Also, I think the library life insurance only pays out if I'm killed by a book, so that's not going to work. Darn. I shall have to work on my plan then. I suppose I can keep you as a flaw for now. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Rose? Yes? This entire conversation is nonsense. Don't point it out. You'll break our suspension of disbelief. Fair. Also, I think my teacher is calling class early because some asshole made a small coke bomb. Coca-Cola or cocaine? Cola. Jesus, a cocaine bomb would be something. I wonder if that's flammable like flour is supposed to be. Well, now I'm going to have a Google search history that I'd rather not explain. I'll leave you to that. When you open the door and toss your bag on the floor, Rose doesn't even look up from her book. Dave likes Mexican food, right? You ask. He once delivered me a 30-minute rap on the subject of Mexican food. Rose answers and flips a page. I'm pretty sure that given the right motivation, Dave could write a 30-minute rap about almost anything, so that doesn't really answer my question, you point out. You should tell him that sometime, he'd be flattered, and maybe he would rap to you for 30 seconds about you. That'd be fun for me to watch. But yes, he loves Mexican food, Rose says, still in her book. Good, great. Can I borrow a blanket tomorrow night? You ask. Rose lowers her book and looks around at you. On your head be it, don't you dare damage it. I know where you live, Rose says. You look around at your shared dorm, the one you live in with her, together. Shit, you sure do. Alright, I'm going to study. You snort and scoop your bag back up. Once in your room, you shut the door and kick your shoes off. With that done, you crawl on your bed and take your earphones and phone out. You settle into place and open that video you recorded. Demonic words come out of your mouth and you're very careful to repeat them, keeping the English meaning of them firm in your mind as you do so. Maybe you are Romance Batman, because there's no way Solux will see this one coming. That'll show him. Eventually, you do need to leave the dorm if you want to get supplies for your date with Dave. You've got candles in mind, the snacks he likes, and anything else unreasonably tacky you know he'd want. You'd ask Rose if she needs you to pick up anything, but she's in her room with the door shut, so you won't disturb her. As you walk, you pass the bus stop that mind-melted a man. You wish you knew how that poor guy was doing, but there's no way you can find out without breaking medical confidentiality laws. It's not like you can just... On a scale of 1 to 4, how busy are you? 1 being not busy at all, 2 being you're kind of busy but you can stop for something, 3 being you're super busy and can't stop what you're doing, and then redundantly 4 that you're too busy to even read this message. I want to say 2, but I feel somewhat like you're baiting me into that. Perhaps. Fine, 2. Could you do me a favor? I don't do favors for free. You have literally done that before, but go on, what do you want? Tell me what you want first. I gotta set up a reasonable exchange rate, duh. Right. So, the night everything went down with Aridin, he went into his full angel form around a human guy at a bus stop, which had the effect you'd expect. I managed to stop him hurting himself and called an ambulance for him. He seemed calmer when they got here, but I didn't get his name, and I'm pretty sure his doctors wouldn't tell me how he is anyway. Privacy laws and all that. You want to know how he is? Yeah. Is that doable? Is, but I can't really ask anyone else to do it right now. I'm dealing with enough shit with demons as is, so I'd have to do this myself. Oh, so it's not really something you can do? Obviously you've got a lot going on right now, though I don't know all the details, it's pretty clear. I didn't say that I couldn't do it, or that I wouldn't. You just want something in return. What is it? I'm gonna call you. Before you can even think much about it, your phone rings. It's Solux, of course. Hello? You say. So here's what I want, Solux says slowly into your ear. You like how his voice sounds sometimes, and what's worse is how much you like it now, and how much you can tell that he's not trying to sound appealing. It's not like him fake flirting with you to get a reaction. It's all you. Yeah, you manage kicking your brain cells into working. You've actually had some success with your tea leaf reading, your dreaming, and your tarot stuff. I want you to do that. Not the Ouija board, though. Solux says that last part hastily. I can't do that anyway. You drop-kick the board into frozen wastelands of hell. Remember that? You snort. Yeah, I remember making you cry, too. Solux mutters, clearly unhappy to have recalled that. In hindsight, I can see why you were probably desperately trying to pitch flirt with me without explaining shit. You say as you walk on, one hand in your pocket to ward against the cold, the other holding your phone to your ear. I take issue with the word death, Brit. He protests. How sad for you. What did you want me to do? You ask. I'm, I'm losing a lot of ground here. My maker is the one who's meant to be running things now, and I'm just standing in. I have the authority to do that, but usually when you have someone like me, they're acting out of orders of their maker. Usually recent orders, but it's not worked out that way for me, and Solix hesitates. People are questioning the legitimacy of your position. You question, or you guess. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I don't really want this job either, and it's not what I was made for. I need to know if this change is because I did something, or if it's just how long this has gone on, or if someone else is trying to overthrow me and my maker. Can you use your methods to try to see something? He asks. I can try. If this is anything like Japan, then I might get stuff that I don't understand at all, but at least I can feed all the raw information I get back to you. Maybe it'll mean something. You say with a nod that he can't see. Thanks. I'll go looking for your guy. Solix sighs with some relief. Thanks. I hope he's okay, you say. He really didn't seem alright at the time, but you hope you helped at least a little. You're way too nice, Solix tuts. And you're a lot nicer than you pretend to be, you retort, because you know that'll get to him way more than you just saying he's a jerk. He'd be proud of being someone that you find irritable, but saying he's not so secretly nice? The horror. I hate talking to you. I don't know why I do it, Solix mutters. Hate you too, you tell him cheerfully in delight in the way that the call disconnects. Ha! You win. You pick up what you need in town and then walk back, detouring through the library to check what new shifts that Miss Paint has put you down for, since Kanaya actually did do you a solid and get you back on the rota. You have no idea what she told her, but whatever it was worked. When you return to the dorm, you find that Rose is still in her room, so you knock on the door and wait. After a few moments later, she answers. Everything all right? Rose asks. Over her shoulder, you can see a laptop open with familiar green text on the screen. Wisely, you say nothing. I'm doing a tea leaf reading. Do you want to do one too? You ask her. That actually sounds really good. Rose nods. Cool. I'll make it. Just leave the door open so I can carry them both and try not to knock, or not have to knock by kicking your door. You tell her. Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I'd prefer it if you didn't kick a hole in my door. Rose agrees. Hey, maybe a whole bunch of these mysterious guys in suits might come by and repair it if I do. You snort and walk over to the cupboard that holds all your drinks. You have more than enough to choose from, and eventually you pick out a chili chai tea. It's probably not ideal, as little dried chili pieces are a good deal larger than the tea itself, but fuck the rules, right? You give Rose's tea to her and retreat to your room. You shut the door and dim the lights a little. The tea is a little too hot to comfortably drink. Just because you're fireproof doesn't mean you want to go chugging boiling tea. I had a thought. I shall alert the masses. It's been so long, but finally the wait is paid off. Laugh it up, chuckle fuck. I was going to say that I'm about to do the tea and tarot thing for you, as per our agreement, and maybe it'd be easier if you were actually here and could see what's going on in real time, so I can ask you questions. That's not actually a bad idea, Solix says all of a sudden from behind you. Fuck! You yell in alarm, glad that your room is silenced. When you turn around, Solix is rubbing one ear and wincing. Serves him right. Do you have to be the absolute worst at every possible opportunity? You demand. Only for you, he says teasingly. You're the worst, you tell him, and shove him on your bed. He seems surprised, but not uninterested. Well, too bad for him that what you have in mind is more card reading and less that. You grab your tarot deck from your bag and shove Solix up the bed so there's room for you to sit on the end, and the cards go between you. Alright, so rather than doing a what does the future hold type thing, I was thinking of just asking what's happening now, since that's more what you're after, right? You ask and start to shuffle and rotate the cards as you go. Right, he agrees. Unfortunately, I don't know a spread for that, so I'm gonna make up one. It's all made up anyway, so who cares if it's me or someone from 100 years ago? You shrug. What now? Solix asks. Right, so the cards have meanings, but also the positions they're in have meanings too. So I'm gonna say that this is the subject of your question. This is the person responsible, and this is what they're doing or their motive, you say as you set the cards face down. Solix watches, and you can't help but notice the alert and interested way his tail slices through the air back and forth as he watches the cards. You flip the first. Of course, it's you say, entirely unsurprised. What? Solix asks. It's a Two of Swords. It's basically just the card I've come to associate with you. Dave is the Knight of Swords, I'm the Knight of Cups, Rose is the High Priestess, Roxy is the Empress, you explain. Do they all mean other things? He asks curiously. Obviously, but we're getting off topic. Next card, you say and flip it. Knight of Swords. Dave? What? That doesn't make any sense. Dave isn't doing anything. Maybe it means he's the subject of what's going on, but that doesn't make any sense either. You trail off when you look up at Solux. His expression is grim. Alright, moving on. Last one, he prompts you. Uncertainly, you turn the card, but as you do, it slips from your fingers and lands face up, but sideways, neither up nor down. Solix leans over to look at you and then back up. What does that mean? He asks. Fucked if I know. The cards have different meanings if they're facing me or away from me, but sideways isn't a thing. I've also not had this card before, so I need to look it up. The minor arcana is so damn hard to memorize. You grumble that last part and grab your phone, deciding to just look it up online. Could sideways be both meanings, or something from each? Solux suggests. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works, but also, if that's what's leaping out to you, then sure, do that. Alright, the Three of Cups is, you say as you thumb through the website on your phone. Okay, upright just seems to be community, friendship, happiness, all that social stuff, you say. Not sure about the other stuff, but community I can see. Solix nods. You're not sure how this applies to Dave, but maybe Solix means his community rather than Dave's, so demonkind perhaps? Reversed, it's gossip, scandal, group discord, or jealousy, you tell him. Oh, yeah, I understand that. I pretty much already knew that, but the confirmation helps at least. He nods. Yeah, he's not going to explain any of that, is he? Maybe it's that demons aren't cool that Solix is spending all this time with Dave and not ruling hell? That'd make perfect sense. After all, it's really weird that someone in his position is fucking about at school for a lot of the stuff he already knows how to do. But even though it mentally checks out, it doesn't feel true at all. Instead of asking Solix questions that he won't answer, you pick up your now slightly cooler cup of tea and start to drink. Solix takes a photo of your cards and then looks back up at you from where he's leant over. Okay, really quickly before we go on, I just want to make sure, what was the spread? I just want to double, spread. I'm going to say that this is the subject of your question, right? So Solux, this is the person responsible, and then Dave, and this is what they're doing or their motive, and then that was the Three of Cups. Okay. Gotcha. I just need a refresher. So I just sit here and watch you drink tea, Solix asks. I'm eager to hear how you think you can help me drink tea, you say flatly and drink some more. It's a nice fruity tea, but with a real nice kick of heat. You really like this one for the cold weather you're getting these days. Solix seems to concede your point and carefully puts your card back in the deck and the deck in its box. It's a nice gesture, a mindless kind of care for your things. You know, he's not doing it with much thought, because he seems like a million miles away. So, I did some crimes. I know a little more about your guy, Solix says slowly, turning the box around in his hand. Yeah? You say eagerly. He doesn't remember what he saw that fried his mind, but he swears he was helped by an angel, protected by one. He's in outpatient therapy at the moment, Solix explains. But I looked human at the time. How would he know that? You ask in horror. My guess is you did something angel-y that protected him from Eridan's brain fuckery, and he was able to tell what you were. His doctors have put it down to a trauma response. They don't think there was literally an angel. He's just that he's projecting onto the nice young man who called the ambulance. You saved him. You know that, right? Solix asks. You sip your tea and frown. It's my fault he got hurt in the first place. You tell him. You did a good thing. Stop being an idiot about it, Solix retorts, as if he's fed up with you doing this kind of thing. He probably is. He has a whole bunch of experience that you don't remember at all. You're getting near the end of your tea, so you really should just be concentrating on the question that you're trying to read for. What's happening with the demons that's causing such unrest? You get close to the end, so you snag the saucer for the teacup off of your bedside table and flip your cup upside down. When enough of the remaining tea has dripped out, you flip it back over. Huh, you say thoughtfully. What? Solix asks, leaning over his hands so he can try to see into your cup. He's kind of on his hands and knees right now, and the angle means you look right down his back to where his tail's joined to his spine, or so you presume. They're flicking back and forth like 1,000 YouTube videos have shown cats doing right before they jump on something. What? Solix demands petulantly. Sorry, look, you say and hold the cup out. It's a three-strand winding thing? Maybe a rope or tree roots? A river? Does it mean anything to you? You ask him. I don't think so. Maybe you could say it's you, me, and Dave all tangled together on the same path or whatever, but that's not an answer to the question, Solix says with a frown. Maybe I got distracted? I don't know. Nothing's coming to my mind yet, but maybe I just don't have the information to understand it. That's what happened last time. You shrug. That's not really helpful, Solix says and sits back. Well, I'm sorry, it's not an exact science and I'm new at it. You snap. Not a science at all, Solix says and lays back on your bed like he owns the place. Well, fuck you very much. I'm going to look up a guide. That way I can see if I missed anything. You say and start Googling. You find a PDF and start scrolling through common science to see in the tea leaves to... Hold up. There's a list of common things in tea leaves. You start. Uh-huh, Solix says, clearly not interested. One of the things is cock. Do you think they mean a cockerel? Or you raise an eyebrow at him. Man, I know Dave get that. What's in your tea, Dave? Dicks. What does it mean anyway? He snickers. You check the list. Apparently, it's much prosperity, so there's that. Well, at least that entertains Solix a good deal. He's got his face buried in your pillow now to muffle his laughter, at least. The closest thing on this list is wavy lines, but I'd say these are more interlocked than just wavy, so I don't think that's right. You conclude. What does wavy mean? Solix asks, looking up from your pillow. It's not important. You try, but he pins you with a look. I really don't think it's the right interpretation, but it's, I quote, losses and vexations, you tell him, albeit reluctantly. Just like the cards, you know you're missing something here. You just don't want me to have a bad reading, Solix accuses you. No, if bad things were going to happen, I'd rather you knew in advance so we can fix it. You counter. Accusation defeated. Take that, Solix. Yeah, well, Solix shrugs. Oh, that changes everything, you tell him with as much sarcasm as possible. Shut up, look, let me know if you dream anything useful, alright? Solix says and stands up with a stretch. I can't promise it'll happen, but I'll do what I can, you say. As he stretches, his shirt rides up a little and you give in to the impulse to touch the stripe of skin that the motion revealed. He looks down at you with a look that he'd probably deny is fond, but definitely is. Have fun on your date tomorrow, Solix says, and leans down quickly to kiss you. He pulls back and you're about to say something smart, probably, when he bites your lip and vanishes in a puff of fake apple smoke. You cough and wave your hand through it, licking the stinging bit of your lip where he got you. That asshole. For the rest of the evening, you just kill time, researching a few things for your date, getting some reading done for Mindfang's class, looking more into tea leaf readings. Despite all that, you know you're just killing time. When your head hits the pillow that evening, you slip the charm under it, and under it that'll ensure you wake up from a dream you're completely focused on getting something helpful for Solix. You close your eyes and sleep. It's cold where you are, bitterly so. Snow coats, impacted mud, and thick coats wrapped tight around the men around you do more to keep fleas and body lice warm than the men in them. It's cold and miserable, and you completely hate it. You walk along the narrow paths wrapped in fake outfits of an officer with a skin tone that's not your own, just so you'll blend in. As you walk, you think. You try to decide what to do when your hands are so incredibly tied. Why are you here? She asks. You're alone, or you were anyway. An unused little corner of the dugout worn of dirt and misery. No humans around. She wasn't here a moment ago, but you suppose that in this place she is everywhere. You turn, boots crunching in the bitter snow, and look at her. She's not bothering to hide who she is. There's no one around to see her, and if anyone really did, then they wouldn't be around for long. Mina, you say, polite, respectful. She tilts her head and looks at you, her long braids dangling almost to the floor. Strung through them are trinkets and talismans, spoils of war throughout time from every culture going. Even some that don't exist anymore have their final traces in her braids. What are you doing here? She asks again. The usual, you shrug. you're not allowed to interfere in this. You can't stop this whole thing. Me and Snowman are killing it out here. Fuck. We all are. Even Aradia's up to her eyes in work here, and Jane started this whole thing just as much as I did, Mina says, her eyes gleaming with a fire from inside her. I know. It's all predicted. I can't stop it. Even if I actually could, I'd be kicked out for interfering that much. You concede. So why are you here? She asks a third time. If you're so sure there's nothing I can do, then why do you care? You're putting all these people through this. Aren't I allowed to see it up close? You ask. Mina surveys you, like she's suspecting that you're up to some kind of trick. Her eyes finally drift from you over to the top of the trench. Do you know what they're calling this? The war to end all wars. Like I'd just go away. Mina laughs. That's pretty optimistic of them. You shrug. You wish it was right, but no. You know what humans can be like. War, like death, famine, and pestilence, are constants for a reason. There's a reason that they're the things that will be there at the end of it all. As much as you love humans, they have these things baked into them and into their world, but they're not just those things. It's not going to be the end. There will be more like this. Once people know that I can be this, it's going to be great. Mina shudders in glee. Bye, Mina, you sigh and walk off. She doesn't follow you. She knows that you're not able to beat her on this, but she is underestimating you. You walk through the trenches and find a group of tired, muddy soldiers with beaten down hearts. They'd all been told that this would all be over by now, but you're pretty sure that this war won't be done with anytime soon. You're not great at healing. It's not really what you do. What you can do is reaffirm their bond to something or someone. If you wanted, you could remind them of king and country and get them fighting like Mina wants. But even if that's something you could do, it's not what you want. You slip from view and peek over the top of the trench, feeling the not-so-distant souls of the men on the other side. They're every bit as tired and beaten down as the men on this side. They have more in common with each other than not. They're just regular people, dragged into a fight they have no choice in, and they certainly can't leave now that they're here. They're made to fight and risk their lives as the people in charge on either side stay well away from the whole thing. They're just people. Just human. You slip back down into the trench and think for a moment. That's something you can do. You don't like to manipulate, not like Cancri or Cronus taught you, not like Eridan keeps encouraging you to do. There's no way that you'll put anything in their heads that wasn't there before. That's just wrong and defeats the whole purpose of this. But a little nudge, a little reminder so they can see themselves as you see them. Yeah, you can do that. Besides, a little encouragement never hurt. You magic a convincingly battered football into existence and casually roll it the other way. Reaching into all of them, you find what you know they all have inside. They're just people, and so are the men on the other side. If they met one evening in peacetime and spoke the same language, they'd probably get on just fine. They might even have drinks with each other, share food, tell stories. It's only chance that half of them is on one side and half on the other. They're all cold, tired, and miserable. They're more alike than they know, and maybe just today they can act more like it. You look up at the sky and the gentle snow that's falling and remember the last detail. It's Christmas, isn't it? You remind both sides of the same thing, and then wait. The men seem melancholy, contemplating the things you've silently reminded them, when one of them spots the football that you rolled their way. The young soldier, God, he must be 19, bends down and carefully picks it up. He contemplates it for a few long moments, and then turns to the ladder that leads over the top of the trench. He climbs up, peeks over, well aware that looking over the top could mean a bullet to the brain, but he doesn't know that the soldiers on the other side are feeling the same thing that his are. Emboldened by not being shot, he pulls himself up and warily holds the football out to the side so they can see what it is. He kicks it once, ever so gently, just to prove it's not some kind of bomb. The other soldiers on the side have scrambled up, ready to pull him or perhaps just his body down. Across the other side, over no man's land, the other soldiers are watching too. Watching some young man, still a teenager, pick the ball up and walk closer. They start to climb up as well. Slowly, both sides leave their trenches, climbing onto the top together. They don't speak each other's languages, not really. They've picked up the occasional word, sure, but not enough to communicate. Even so, they manage to get a game going. You stand and watch them playing together. Several officers gather the sides of the impromptu match and swap parts of their rations or cigarettes with each other. What are you even doing? Mina demands, suddenly at your side. I'm not doing anything, you say innocently. You know this won't stop the war, she tells you sharply. It's one football game. I'm not that optimistic. Your war will go on, you say with a sigh. You shove your hands in your coat pockets and watch the soldiers on both sides as they kick the ball around. So, why are you doing this? She asks after a minute of silence. Because people are obviously going to know all about your war. Everything you and the others made this thing into. Everything the humans did to each other. You start. Hey, we didn't make the humans do anything. Me and Jane just bring out what's already in them, Mina says defensively. No, I know that. They're like that. But I just did the same. They're like this, too. People will remember what you did, but maybe they'll hear about this too. See that humans are still more than the worst parts of themselves, you say, and nod to the temporary, inexplicable truce going on before you. Well, look at you, winning the battle and losing the war. Mina grins. You look around to see her holding a braid over her mouth to try to cover the amused grin on her face. There's a purple heart pinned through the part against her lips. You shrug. You're doing what little you're allowed to, you suppose. You jolt upright in bed, flailing as you startle into wakefulness. The charm did its job, that's for sure. Scrambling to your phone, you call Solux. You're too out of it to type. You sit up in bed as it rings, and he does pick it up. Never mind that it's 4 a.m. Yeah, he says, because he has no manners at all. Just dreamt, woke up, you manage to get out. You're trying to hold on to every aspect of the dream that you can. The line goes dead before you can pull your phone from your ear as Solux appears right next to you. Tell me everything, he insists. So you do. You recount the details you can remember about the trench and the woman you spoke to, and you start to describe her face. You just start to describe her. Solux's face blanches in horror. Mina? He whispers. Yes, that was the name. She had these long braids and... Hey, you protest as Solux shoves you and then pushes his phone towards your face. He seemingly took a picture of your cup from earlier, and at once you spot the intertwined strands of the tea leaves for what they are. A braid. Who is she? I obviously knew her, but I can't... It's kind of gone, you admit. Whatever spell works on your memories must be trying to reclaim the details. My phone's dying, I'm stealing your charger, Solux says, and muscles you out of the way so he can plug his phone in instead. That's not an answer, you remind him as he drops it on your bedside. Solux sighs and gets up to his feet. She's a horseman, Solux answers. You've met death, famine, pestilence. You were talking to Mina on a battlefield, so... War. She's war, you whisper, and he nods. So what does this mean for you? You ask. People always had questions about the legitimacy of the whole thing, like I said, but if Mina's getting involved, she can make people angrier than normal, turn little seeds of irritation and distrust into outright loathing and treason. She wants a fight, and she most likely wants me gone. She would have been the one outside the club who caused Kurlaws to lose his shit, Solux explains. That also explains the card about community, then. Still, not the rest of it, but there's something there. So what now? You ask. Now you go back to sleep. I need to go away for a while to try to undo all of this. Take notes for me or whatever. Solux shrugs. Wait, how long are we talking here? You were just already gone for a big chunk of time last semester. You can't keep disappearing. The school will kick you out, you insist. They really won't, he says, but doesn't explain anything as per usual. I think you're trying to distract me with that, and I'm not buying it. Look, this is obviously a problem. Let me help, you insist. You can't. Not more than you already have with this, which was actually helpful, Solux says and reaches for his phone. You put your hand on his shoulder to hold him back. Will you give me a little more credit here? I know I don't remember things, but I'm still capable of helping. Look, is this anything to do with that storm god? You ask, and Solux freezes. The storm god? Solux repeats. Rose found statues in your void. She told me about it. I know this god is still out, unlike the others. Is this connected? You ask. You know you and Rose figured it'd be a bad idea to ask about this in case it conflicted with Solux's obligations with this spell, but you can't let him keep thinking you're useless. Of course Rose is getting involved. Can you just try to stop her digging into that? The fabric of reality would really appreciate it. But no, this doesn't have anything to do with this. Solix tells you. You're pretty sure that you both know that Rose isn't going to stop having her teeth sunk into this mystery anytime soon. Solix, if this is something so big that you have to vanish to deal with it, then there has to be something I can do. You shouldn't have to deal with some big catastrophe on your own. You insist, but Solix just bats your hand away. You've been dealing with shit, or I've been dealing with shit on my own for years now. It's fine, he says sharply and goes for his phone again. You suck in a breath and figure, yeah, you may as well. I hate you, you tell him in demonic, focusing as hard as you can to get the words to go perfectly. Solix freezes for a solid second or two, and then turns to look at you wide-eyed. What? He whispers. I hate you, you repeat. Solix says something incomprehensible and demonic, but he looks more concerned than swept off his feet. I can't understand demonic yet. I just learned that, you admit. From who? Solix asks, his voice pitching higher in alarm. Well, when you switched my languages, I might have recorded myself saying it so I could learn after, you admit, not admitting to recording other things as well. You plan this? He says, barely above a whisper. Yeah, because it's true. I know I was missing for 5 whole years, and fuck knows how long I've actually been around, because I think that memory was one from one of the world wars, so fuck, but I'm here now, and I don't want you to have to deal with things alone anymore, you tell him. You're really not thinking about how old you might be. Solix stares at you dumbly for a second, with all his eyes wide open. You hear him whisper the same, I hate you, back in demonic, and before you can try to repeat the same thing to him, he just launches himself at you. Pretty lucky that your bed was right here, or else that might have hurt. But at least he's not alone, and technically do what he told you originally and go back to sleep. Just after a while. When morning comes, it's the phone ringing next to your ear that wakes you up. You jump at the noise and stretch your arm out to grab it. Solix whines in complaint at you reaching over him and waking him up, but you need to answer this. The phone tries to jolt out of your hand as the charging cable still attached to it doesn't quite reach, but you manage to disentangle it and answer. Hello? You say sleepily. Solix tightens his arm around your chest, pulling you back down with him. Car cat? Dave's voice says in your ear. Yeah, what's going on? It's not time for class, right? You yawn and lift your head a little to look at the clock by your bedside, the clock that was very recently repaired by strange men in suits. You have plenty of time. No, you're not late or anything. I was just wondering where Solix was, but I guess that answers that, Dave says, and you can hear the amusement in his tone. You look down at Solix. How did Dave know where he was? Solix looks back up at you and sleepily and frowns. That's my phone, he mumbles. You pull it from your ear and see, yeah, that's not your phone case, and you just answered Solix's phone. Oops. Solix snickers and takes it from you. Hey, Dave, Solix says brightly, folding his arms behind his head and grinning at you for making such a dumb mistake. Yeah, Solix laughs at whatever Dave just said. Ugh, it's too early being embarrassed. You'd rather go back to sleep. You fall back on the pillow next to Solix and rest your hand on his chest. You're pretty sure they're talking about you, but you just try to tune it out. Instead, you run your hand down Solix's side and feel his extra rib and the warm glow that you can just feel through his skin. Listen, Dave, Solix pauses and you can hear Dave talking on the other side of the phone. Solix bites his lip and tries to contain his laughter, but given that he's not wearing anything and he's right next to you, it's kind of difficult for him to hide anything. Curiously, you move your hand to his stomach, and you suppose your touch was light enough that it might have tickled or something, because Solix is laughing out loud now. Quit it! Solix hisses at you. You can hear Dave laughing down the other end of the phone, too. Well, fine, you didn't mean to tickle him, but whatever. Instead, you drag him closer and rest your head on his chest, because you've no intention of getting out of bed before you really have to. No, Dave, for real, Solix trails off with a sigh. There's a long pause where you can just hear Dave's tinny voice through the phone. Long, rambling metaphor, you guess. Mm-hmm. Solix hums and winds his tails around your leg just above your knee. Yeah, something like that. Dave, I'm gonna have to bail for a while, so don't summon me unless it's emergency. Yeah? No, I know. It'll be fine. Of course. Yeah, of course I will. No, that wasn't why we... No, it just worked out the way. Dave! You listen to Solix's voice through his chest, the way it sounds more resonant that way. Solix finishes his phone call with Dave and drops the phone on the bedside table. He sighs deeply, and you feel his chest move as he does. You have to go, right? You guess. Yeah. Solix agrees and runs his hand through your hair. Sharp claws careful against your scalp. If you need me, you start. Even if there does end up being something you could do theoretically, I wouldn't be able to give you all the details or even tell you why I need you to do whatever it is. You know that, right? Solix interrupts. You push yourself up on your elbow and look at him. I'm okay with that, you tell him as firmly and confidently as you can. I mean really obtuse stuff. I don't know how much I can bend this, he adds. Fuck this, you say sharply as you push yourself up on your other hand and glare at him. I don't care about heaven or hell. I'm not on either side. I'm on your side. And I'll fight if you think otherwise. You snap at him. Solix just stares at you in awe for a moment. Or two. Of course it's two. What were you thinking? Fuck, I missed you, he whispers. Yeah, well, I'm here now, so deal with it, you tell him. You kind of backed yourself into an emotional corner here, and you're not sure what you're meant to say now that you're pretty confident that what you just said was something kind of big for demons. Solix's expression melts into something a little sadder, and he sits up in bed and swings his legs over the edge. In an instant, he's wearing his clothes again, and you watch as he picks up and puts his phone away again. Don't do anything stupid, you warn him. Too late, Solix says with a grin. Are you implying that I'm something stupid? You ask him, entirely sure that he is. Yep, Solix says brightly. You throw your pillow at him, but he's gone before it gets there, so it does nothing more than thunk into your wardrobe. Defeated, you fall back onto your mattress and sigh. He's so irritating. There's a flash of blue and red at your side, and the fastest kiss ever pressed to your cheek, and then nothing but bicolored smoke again. Fuck, you hate him. Seeing Rose after you get up is fine. She's barely awake. The problem comes when you go down for breakfast, and Dave comes in with a sly grin that's so obvious everyone notices it. The problem with Dave, he's as subtle as a falling piano. What? What's up? Jade asks suspiciously, because Dave is being wildly suspicious. Nothing, Dave says immediately and unconvincing. Where's Solix? Jade asks, right as Dave crams an entire slice of toast into his mouth as an excuse for why he can't talk. I don't know where he's been, but I know where he's been, though. June laughs and points at you across the table. What do you... Oh! Jade laughs. Rose looks up at you and raises an eyebrow. She reaches into her bag and pops a contact mirror open and turns it around to show yourself and... What the fuck? Did Solix try to take a chunk out of your neck? Great, wonderful. Thanks for the bite mark that'll be there for like a month or something. Thanks, asshole. My fucking neck, shitlord. Why? Think of it as a compliment. I'm putting craft glitter in everything you own. Chapter N! Yes! Yes! Yes, they fucked! Beautiful. Oh my god. Oh, I wanted this so bad. I was waiting for this chapter. Oh my god, I can't believe they finally did it. They're beautiful. Oh my god, they... What a lovely, lovely, lovely chapter. Yippee! I love them. They're so gay. Oh my god, they're so gay and in love. Wow. I love that for them. I love they finally did it. They finally did it. They're so gay. Oh, what a lovely chapter. Yeah, you guys can tell when people were saying earlier, oh my god, it's this chapter. Now we know. Now we know what they meant. I love this chapter. Oh my goodness. Next chapter is good too, but this one in particular, the soul cat is just so good. It's just so good. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So that is today's chapter. It's the soul cat sex chapter. It's the soul cat sex chapter. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't believe it. It's the I hate you chapter. Oh my goodness. When he says, I love how like I love how Carcat like is like, I think I posted this in the alternate universe Discord, but it's like Carcat's like Like, I hate you, and then in quote, or in like slash demonic, and then the next is Solux, I need to fuck you immediately. That's exactly what it is. Just immediate, like, oh my god. Wait, next chapter is Oak and Ash and Thorn. Is it? Next chapter is, it is Oak and Ash and Thorn. Pardon, hi Rambu Fanzane. New time, first time chatter. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, it's great. But yeah, I remember this chapter being pretty good too. Oh, because okay, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's kind of being set up. This is the Dave Cat date chapter. They go on a date. Isn't that this chapter? I'm almost positive it is. They go on a date. Oh, I'm so excited. We got stuff to look forward to tomorrow. Oh my goodness, we're getting such a helping of but also the other thing, oh, I don't remember the other thing. I'm gonna have to scroll through the chapter. We have Soul Cat sex and Dave Cat date. Exactly. Wonderful alliteration. It's beautiful. All right, anyways, so you can look forward to that tomorrow when we do that chapter, same time, 9 p.m. EST, as always. You guys know. And with that, I will probably be wrapping up stream. So I hope you all have a very, very lovely night. What a lovely way to wrap up my night. I'm gonna go get work done. And yeah, so see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. EST, as usual. Thank you guys all for coming by and hanging out. And that'll be it. Bye-bye. Have a nice night. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Bye-bye.